Hi all, welcome back to the floor of my living room. Today's video is going to be a super simple one book reading vlog similar to my Iron Flame reading vlog, but we're going to be reading a new romance release by London Sperry, Passion Project. This video was originally supposed to be a mood reading through my April TBR video, but I am now in one of the worst slumps known to man. It's not really that bad, but it's definitely my first slump of 2025 and my first slump in a while. I didn't get to reading any other books. I did try to start Alone with You in the Ether, which was also on my April TBR. That is a 5-star reread for me, so I kind of got into it. I was hoping that would like spur my interest in reading again, and it sort of did. I love that book and the things that it does for me, but you know, slumps is as slumps are. Even though I know that I love that book and it makes me feel so many things, I just can't get myself to focus on it. So I'm just gonna post this as it is because we did successfully get through Passion Project, and I'm gonna give you my thoughts and opinions in this video, and you can see me read it in real time. So if you're interested in doing that, stay tuned. Hey guys, I just got back from work, but I wanted to do my initial thoughts and opinions. I did end up finishing The Ballad of Songbird and Snakes while I was at work. I only got 30 pages into this, but I already want to talk about it because I'm really enjoying it so far. I was already giggling at the end of the first chapter, which literally ends on page 8. It says in the synopsis that she drunkenly confesses to him after being set up on a first date that she has no passion in life. That's when he says, I will help you uncover those passions. But we learn like right off the bat from the very first page in this book that she is not intending to go on that date. She essentially stands him up, but as she's like running out of the restaurant, she's drunk. She was just puking in a bathroom, like so anxious. She's trying to get out. She's like yanking on the door, and his arm just reaches around her and goes, "It's a push." And pushes it, and she runs out. And tell me why I was giggling. That is so stupid, I know, but it really got me for some reason, and I can't wait to hear more. We're having the first real conversation between these two characters because, like I said, she ran out on him on their first date and hasn't talked to him since, so now we're in like chapter 3 and 4, and they're actually talking. I'm really liking London Sperry's voice. It's very refreshing and relatable. She's very quick. She's very witty. She's self-deprecating in the way that FMCs are when they're going through things. It's not in an annoying way, like it comes from a place where clearly she used to be this other person. I don't know, I'm relating to a lot about her. She feels like a completely different version of herself than who she used to be, and how it like pains her to see the people in her life view her now the way that she is, but she can't really do anything about that. And also because of that, she's her harshest critic. I will say, because when I read the description I was like, oh my god, this is gonna hit so much for me. I've been struggling a little bit with reading it because I will read something and then I'm like, that's not me, and then I have to remind myself, hey Alexis, you can't use our main character as a self-insert. You have to take the story how it is. And then I take a step back and I'm like, oh, okay, let me take these objective things. But then she'll say things where I'm like, wow, that was me. She's talking about how the person that she lost, he was just like this peace and calm to like the storm that she always had brewing inside her. Oh, she says one thing in particular, how her mom said that she is so lucky to have had him because he is so patient with her. And then she kind of talks a little bit about how she suffers with anxiety and how with him it used to be more manageable, but of course now it isn't. It reminds me of my sweet pea angel boyfriend who is the calm to my storm. Back home reading some more, she's talking about going to Washington Square Park, and it's so funny. It's hot with all these bodies around. I can never get used to being near so many people. I like to keep at least 3 feet of space between me and everyone else if I can help it, and in this city I usually can't. That is me AF. Everywhere you go in this city there are always so many people, and it usually ruins my day. I don't know what that says about me as a human. I don't know if it's just my pandemic persona that has been thrust onto me since 2020. Literally changed my brain chemistry, but like when there are mass amounts of bodies in places where I also am, day immediately ruined. I don't know, because I relate to Bennett in so many ways, I don't actually know if I'm loving the very literal descriptions of New York City. And I think it's funny because if I was still living in Michigan, or if you're just somebody that doesn't live in New York City, I feel like it'd be fun for you to pick this up and be like, ah, New York is so crazy. Like she literally talks about getting off at a random subway station because she was falling asleep on the train and she missed her stop. She gets out at a station in the Bronx. She says that she looks over and the butt crack of a man peeing on the tracks. It's funny because if you were from out of state, you'd be like, aha, New York tings. But yeah, no, that's my daily life. And when I'm reading this, I'm kind of like, ugh. But like, I'm not loving the city through Bennett's eyes because she's not loving the city, but also as Alexis, sometimes I'm really not loving the city. So this is like not cathartic for me. Sometimes I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm just reading about the place that I also am struggling with. Does that make sense? Justice for NYC. But I am noticing that as I'm reading, I'm kind of like, I'm trying to get into the escapism, and this is hitting a little too hard. I am on page 92, which is 25% of the way through. I don't know what isn't really clicking for me about this book. I haven't really clicked with her and Henry's banter just yet. Literally before I just finished reading, finally got a little bit more information into what she is struggling with in her present timeline and kind of the falling out that she had between someone that she was closest with. We have gotten information about the person that she's grieving, her general dilemma of living in the city. You can tell that London Sperry lives here, and a lot of her research from this was probably just walking around the streets and literally listing every single thing that she saw around her, because we did get a page and a half of just that, things that happen in New York on a street that you could see. We're also getting a lot of descriptions of her at her job. She works as a caterer. She has a million different jobs. It's very realistic because when you're in New York City, you're gonna hustle. You're gonna make money somehow, and you might have 8 different jobs. I have 2 right now, and I'm trying to do this YouTube thing and be an actor. We're getting a lot of descriptions about that, and that's not necessarily interesting to me, which is weird because it's not moving slow. It's moving very fast paced. Once I actually sit down to read it, I'm getting through it. It is very relatable also in the sense that, like, as someone who, one of my jobs right now is catering, it's really interesting to hear her talk about how she feels very out of her body when she does catering, because she is sitting here in a vest and a button-up serving the elite of the elite. How it just feels very, not even dehumanizing, but just like otherworldly to realize you can be so close in interactions with people who might even be the same age as you, but are on like completely different level, leagues away from where you are at that current moment in time. It's like this really interesting paradox with New York City where you're always one step away from like the dream life that you came here for, but so often in your experience, for so much of it, you're just outside of it, not feeling like you're a part of it or even have a place in it. I've only been here for a year and a half, so I'm very new in. Not trying to mansplain the New York experience to everybody, but I'm just trying to say that that is what it feels like sometimes, and she's capturing that. So I'm waiting for this to kick off more. We don't know anything about our male main character at this moment in time, though. I do want to know more about him, other than him just being like, hey, I want to do this. And he's like, well, what if I told you to just be fun? It's cute. I'm like, okay, I mean, yeah, I guess so, but like, I have zero attachment to him. I think that's why their banter isn't really working for me yet. Can't wait to learn more. Riveted. Guys, I literally just got back from work. I walked into the door, threw off my jacket. I still have my uniform on, but I wanted to talk about this because I'm having a total 180 again in thoughts and opinions. Now I'm on page 170. We've gotten a lot more emotional depth, which I am so grateful for. We really needed that. Like I said, there was a lot of description about her daily life and things that she was doing, and also her dealing with grief and just setting up the general premise of the book. But like, as far as our male main character, we knew really nothing about him. Now we know a lot more. His banter is making a lot more sense to me. Their banter and their dynamic is clicking a lot more for me. His like golden retriever vibes are working on me in a way that wasn't really working on me before, because I don't think they were really grounded in enough for me, so I wasn't just... Y'all see that? We got pigeons as friends. I'm loving the exploration of depression and anxiety in this. Every time I feel like I'm a smidge closer to getting my life together, I take a million steps back, and I just don't understand why it's so easy for everyone else and not me. I don't know how to do this. Or she was literally crying and having a breakdown on the streets of New York, and a stranger stopped by and was like, are you okay? And she said that the stranger was looking at her kind of annoyed, but then she realized that it wasn't annoyed. It was the look of somebody who was in a rush but took the time to stop and ask someone if they needed help. And Bennett was just like, no, I'm okay. And she's like, okay, whatever happened, it's not worth it. You'll move on, and then leaves. And then she has this whole moment where she's like, I always thought that people on the streets of New York would never offer help if needed and don't have the time of day, but apparently sometimes people do. And that just reminds me, like, one day I was running late to a shift, and there was a girl who literally like cracked her kneecap on the steps of the subway and was like crying, sobbing. Everyone was passing her, and I stopped and I was like, oh, are you okay? And I was talking to her, and she was on the way to her service industry shift, and she was just like, thank you so much for stopping and helping me. I remember another woman stopped by too and was like, oh, I'm from LA, but I grew up in New York, and don't ever let people tell you that people from New York aren't kind or New Yorkers don't look out for each other, because we do. And anyway, it just made me think of that. There's so much that I'm resonating with in this book, and simultaneously, while I was having a hard time with it yesterday while I was reading, because I just like wasn't in the mood to hear about some of the uglier parts of New York, there are also things about New York that are so beautiful, and there's so much humanity here, and she's also capturing that as well. So I'm constantly reminded why it's great again. But also, I feel conflicting vibes living here in the city, so having conflicting vibes reading about the city also makes sense. New York is a very conflicting place, especially someone who's not from here originally, it's a different and difficult environment to adjust to. I'm not even actually loving the overall premise of this book. Like, yeah, him showing her new things to try to find her passion in life is fine, but I'm loving what's happening in between those moments, and we're starting to get a lot more of the in-between. Those conversations are great. Those conversations are what I'm loving. Also, I recently read Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Basto, and the male main character in that was somebody who was like an acts of service girly to his core, literally just silently take care of everything around her and make sure she's okay at all times. This is very much giving me those vibes as well. Miles was more of like a grumpy male main character. This guy, Henry, is definitely giving more golden retriever vibes, but yet again, we have another FMC who's dealing with the grief of someone that she was extremely close to, doesn't know how to carry on, is in an awful place where she keeps relapsing into her grief and depression. And then we have the guy who is just silent and patient and caring. God, silent and patient and caring men who just offer you the comfort that you need without any expectations, any reciprocation, that's the word, are just amazing. I love him. He's definitely a different font, like I said, from Miles, but they're the same archetype of man who is like the silent comforter that loves you. It's just, what the heck? I don't know if I'm about to be on my period. Seriously, I'm just having such conflicting emotions. I'm sorry for everything that I said yesterday. I do think those were valid things that I was feeling, and it's important to document the ways that the story is being told, because to be fair, until we hit page 115, we were going a little bit slowly. All of my critiques from the last clip still stand, but it's definitely picked up now that we're on page 170, and I'm very excited to see where we go from here, because now I'm finally rooting for the two of them. Doing something that requires heights, and I'm like sweating. My feet are literally sweating under this blanket reading this right now. I'm sweating! It's not even that serious. I'm not gonna spoil what they're doing, but I want to tell a really fast story about how I didn't realize I was afraid of heights until I went on the grid of my high school theater, like where they hoist up all of the rigging and the cables connect to like that pieces that fly in and out. Went up there because one of the kids, I don't even know how he had access up there, but he like took a group of us up there, and it is a see-through grid raised 60 feet in the air. You're able to see the stage below and all of the wires hanging through the openings. I've never been paralyzed with fear like that in my life. My legs would not move. I actually was like so embarrassed, and I was like trying to tell my friend like, I'm stuck. I can't even get down from here because I can't move. Anyway, so if I was doing what they were doing right now, sorry, I think it's just late. I'm gonna share an out of context quote, and sometimes I hate this in romance books, so if you don't want to hear the smallest quote that is like cute line, skip 10 seconds ahead. Being up here makes me feel small, but being with you makes me feel significant. Y'all, I'm sad. I'm sad. You know, I was kind of curious if we were gonna get like some sort of a spice scene in this, because it wasn't giving me those vibes. And obviously this is a debut novel, so I was just like, I don't know. All I gotta say is it is 1 a.m. and I'm sat right here for Henry Adams, man with 2 first names. I gotta read this again. I'm spoiling it for myself. I'm spoiling. I keep looking ahead. Someone cover this page because I'm ruining the moment. I'm too excited. I don't think I should post this. Yo, it's 1 a.m. If you notice, my boyfriend isn't here. So this is my time to unapologetically read with this bright ass lamp on at 1 a.m. and giggle to myself. Awesome. Hey guys, imagine me crying. I have 25 pages left and it's getting me. It's like 2:30 in the morning now. I can't go to bed with 25 pages left, so we're gonna finish and see where we're at. I literally look horrible. I'm sorry. I know book videos are supposed to be aesthetic and stuff, but this is getting me. Ugh. Ugh, the tears. Why am I crying? Whoa. Whoa. Now that I have fully cried off my tretinoin, I'm gonna go to bed. It is probably almost 3 a.m. at this point. I'm going to go to bed and I will give you my thoughts and opinions on this tomorrow because I don't even know what I'm gonna say. I just need to soak it in. I need to evaluate if the midnight hours got me or no, parts of this book really did get me. It doesn't matter, I'll talk to you later. Okay, it is 12:30 the next day. I woke up about an hour ago and have been sitting in bed ever since because I did stay up obviously until 3:30 in the morning to finish this book. I don't know what I'm gonna rate it, so I'm just gonna put it on the screen, whatever that ends up being. I was not expecting to love this as much as I did, and I still don't know if it was the midnight hours that did it to me or if it was this book. I think that I'm just a sucker for books like this. I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. I think some of my favorite parts about this book are the things that our main character Bennett is dealing with, especially the parts about what it means to move on and love somebody when you've already had your first love in life. So the person that she is grieving was her previous boyfriend and was the boyfriend that she envisioned the rest of her life with. And I loved the commentary on slowly developing feelings for another person and how that feels. I almost feel like we got two love stories in one. We actually knew a little bit more about her previous boyfriend that she was grieving than we did about our male main character, which I'm trying to decide if that feels okay or not, because obviously she was in a relationship with said person, so through her eyes we're gonna know him more. Henry is a stranger that she is actively getting to know, but I think some of the moments that made me cry most actually had to do with that previous boyfriend. That storyline, coming to terms with how it's not a betrayal to move on with your life once this person is gone and it's okay to love. That's another thing I want to say that just made me think. I was kind of confused what this book was trying to say. I didn't know if this book was trying to be like, this is how you get through grief. I don't personally feel it's about like, what are your passions in life? At the end of this, obviously it kind of explains what the term finding your passion means, but it essentially to me felt like this book was just trying to express being passionate is the goal, and it doesn't matter what it's about, but it's about having strong thoughts and feelings and opinions on the things that happen to you, just choosing to go after what it is. The commentary on just like self-sabotage and the way that we isolate ourselves when we're going through things and sometimes project it onto other people or perpetuate the cycle of isolation because we don't know how to feel happy for ourselves. It's almost just easier to feel the same pain that we've been feeling for a while and to kind of stew in that. It's almost safer than it is to branch out and make a change for something that could potentially make you happy. There's so much heart in this book, and I also flew through it. I did read it in multiple settings over multiple days because I worked so much recently, but I fully feel like if I had 2 days off, I could have finished this in a day and a half. Something about the way that it was written, as soon as you picked it up, you were flying through. The events just transpired very naturally and in an engaging way to where you wanted to see what was going to happen next. They do go through a lot of struggles in this as like a couple. They don't turn into a couple right away. It's kind of evident that they're having budding feelings for each other. Because of that, there's multiple things that they go through, which I really liked. This felt like a very natural progression of a relationship. You can feel so much for a certain person. There can be things that hold you back along the way, even though things are progressing at a natural rate. Like, it didn't follow the typical romance book structure, in my opinion. Honestly, I would just say this is a really, really good time. Like, there's a lot of heart packed into these pages. There's a fun storyline. This book feels different than Promise Me Sunshine. Promise Me Sunshine is more about grief and the ways that you grow and evolve through that process. There's still very similar themes between the two books. This, she is heavily dealing with grief, but I think this has a lot more to do with like forgiveness of yourself and allowing yourself the freedom and permission to move on, and also seeking those things and that validation from you and not the people around you who may have also known this person. I'm not gonna be answering this. It was really good though. I think all of my critiques still stand. I didn't totally love it in the beginning. I thought it was pretty slow. I did wish we got a little bit more about our male main character. I'm happy with what we got, but I think he's such an amazing blueprint of a man that I wanted to know more. She has such gold here in Henry that I wanted her to expand on it. I honestly felt more feelings for the things that we heard from the previous boyfriend. What we did get allowed us to still care for him. Obviously, it wasn't hindering that connection. I enjoyed some of the things they did as well. There was one moment in here specifically that I was reading last night with like the heights that really, really got me. That was probably my favorite thing to read about. That whole moment surrounding it, conquering their fears, was incredibly incredibly beautiful. I absolutely loved it. That was like one of the first times that I really teared up. But this book is great. This book is actually really, really good. And it's crazy that it's a debut novel because this is just so promising. Like, I can't wait to see what she does next. I definitely think that you should pick it up. If you want to be in New York City, if you want to fantasize that you live here, watch two people go from friends to lovers, the progression of just opening yourself up again to possibilities in life when you've been closed off from them for so long, and how good and rewarding but also scary that can feel, then you will absolutely be obsessed with this book. Also, if you want a golden retriever man who wears glasses and has curly hair with green eyes. And his name's Henry. I love that. Miles and Henry. 2 for 2 with these romance books, bro. I love those names. Alrighty, we're back here again in the floor of my living room. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm hoping to do a lot more of these one book reading vlogs in the future just because they're short, they're snappy. It allows me to go in depth into my thoughts and opinions and get all of my reactions instead of having to cram multiple books in one video. So if you're interested in seeing that, please give this video some love. Maybe also let me know some books that you would like me to read in these one book reading vlog videos. I'm also debating having this be like a new mini series on my channel where I read new releases, because this is again a new romance release from London Sperry, so hopefully we'll do more of those as well. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great rest of your day. Bye.